All right, welcome to this explainer. Today we're looking at a seriously brilliant strategic pitch from a platform called SportIn for Good. Their goal? Solving one of the absolute biggest headaches in the nonprofit world, donor fatigue. But here's the thing. Instead of just treating this as another fundraising issue, they're proposing a complete structural shift. They want to turn that fatigue into a thriving, moving, highly engaged community. Let's break down exactly how they make their case. So the core problem SportIn identifies is something NGO leaders struggle with every single day. Look, it's not that people don't care. It's just that human attention is, well, incredibly fragmented right now. Traditional awareness drives usually just create a quick, short-term spike. Maybe a one-time donation or a brief wave of volunteer signups. But then the engagement goes shallow and people just drop off. The fundamental challenge here is figuring out how to build the emotional glue that actually keeps those casual supporters around for the long haul. Okay, let's dive into this disconnect. Traditional fundraising relies heavily on what they call transactional charity. Basically, you ask for money, someone gives it, and the interaction essentially ends right there until the next campaign rolls around. But this pitch argues that this leaves a massive missed opportunity on the table. Instead of chasing these short-term fundraising spikes, the strategy here asks a really interesting question. What if you could tap into the everyday physical activities of your supporters? What if you could build an emotional community where people are bonded, not just by a donation receipt, but by shared active experiences over a long period of time? To understand why this strategic shift is so urgent, we need to look at what they describe as a broken ecosystem. First, the people. Supporters are literally craving a sense of belonging to something bigger, yet the interactions they get, mostly transactional. Second, employees and local communities want to move more. They want to be healthier and they want to do good, but they don't really have a fun, social way to combine all of that. And third, corporate sponsors. They want visible impact and brand affinity for sure, but they struggle to connect their CSR budgets to actual behavior change and real community stories. Essentially, everyone wants more, but the current model just isn't delivering the goods. Which brings us to their proposed solution, SportIn for Good. It positions itself as a dedicated communication and engagement layer for NGOs, and it's powered entirely by gamified movement. And what's really brilliant here is how they borrow from the intense emotional architecture of professional sports. Just think about it. Leagues, teams, live leaderboards, cups, grand tours. This strategy takes all of that thrilling, season-long structure and applies it directly to social causes. It's a completely new way to engage. Looking at the mechanics, the user journey is elegantly simple. First off, people don't just sign up for a charity anymore. They join a team. They might represent their neighborhood, their company, or even a brand fan club. Second, they walk, run, and just move. Their wearables or smartphones track that activity in real time. Third, all that activity converts into a movement index that powers live leaderboards and challenges. And fourth, hitting those milestones unlocks actual sponsor funds, vouchers, and prizes. It's this seamless bridge from physical steps to tangible social impact. At the heart of all these mechanics is a really profound mindset shift, captured perfectly in their tagline, "Move together, belong to something bigger." This pitch emphasizes that it isn't just about personal fitness anymore. By putting people on teams and tracking collective progress, SportIn for Good takes the isolated act of supporting a cause and transforms it into the highly emotional act of playing for a team. When every single step you take feels like you're representing something bigger than yourself, you keep moving, you keep engaging. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why the concept works so incredibly well. It's all about the psychology of what the platform calls the Champions League feeling. It leverages three super powerful human drivers. First, belonging. We inherently crave tribes, right? And representing a team creates instant social bonds and collegiality even among total strangers. Second, pride and recognition. With live leaderboards, team colors, and storylines, people feel seen and celebrated, just like professional athletes. And third, meaningful action. Movement is tied directly to a cause, giving every single step a purpose. Together, these elements create an all-emotional community that simply does not want to churn. This strategic design creates a perfect ecosystem where every single stakeholder wins simultaneously. For NGOs, the pitch replaces those exhausting one-off campaigns with season-long properties. Think a spring league or a summer cup. This yields recurring donors, highly engaged volunteers, and rich data for impact stories. Communities gain health benefits, immense pride, and the absolute thrill of feeling like athletes. And the sponsors? They get crystal clear ROI, highly visible brand association with health and community, and genuine behavior-based loyalty. I mean, participants are quite literally sweating for their brand. Now, speaking of sponsors, we really need to highlight how radically this changes their role, because it's a brilliant pivot for CSR budgets. Sponsors aren't just writing a check and slapping a static logo on a banner anymore. They become an active part of the game. They fund vouchers for the top teams or weekly milestone winners, or they power branded challenges. And because participants have to physically run or walk to earn these rewards, the perceived value of that voucher absolutely skyrockets. It transforms the sponsorship into a living, moving brand experience that creates deep, lasting emotional connections. To make this completely concrete, the pitch offers a real-world scenario to really prove their concept. Imagine a local NGO trying to raise funds and awareness for safer public spaces in their neighborhoods. They launch a Safe Backyards campaign on the platform. Almost immediately, local companies, schools, and everyday residents sign up and form teams. Suddenly, you have a community actively organized, totally motivated, and ready to move for a shared local cause. And here is exactly how that plays out. It's a 4-week league, and the energy is just electric. Week 1, the teams form. You've got the downtown runners squaring off against the tech park walkers. Week 2, the rivalry heats up as they compete on total steps and distance, obsessively checking the live leaderboards every single day. By week 3, the in-app highlights are buzzing because sponsor vouchers are being awarded to the weekly milestone winners, keeping everyone completely fired up. And then week 4 arrives, the final, dramatic push, where all the teams unite for the ultimate community goal. And that goal? 10 million steps. The NGO sets this massive, bold target for the entire community. And here is the sheer genius of the pitch. The sponsor has committed to a step-to-donation model. If the community works together and actually hits that 10 million step mark, they unlock an extra 5,000 euros for the Safe Backyards cause. This specific mechanic proves the ROI for sponsors perfectly. Every walk to the grocery store, every morning run, every stroll in the park suddenly matters to the whole town, creating unprecedented engagement metrics. So, the crucial point is this. This strategy moves organizations entirely away from the exhaustion of the one-off campaign. It replaces it with a season-long property. And when you build a property, a league, a cup, a tournament, you are building infrastructure for recurring engagement. The NGO gets a steady stream of attention and revenue, the sponsor gets continuous, deep impact, and the community gets a permanent home for their desire to do good and be active. It is a complete fundamental upgrade to how social causes operate. This isn't just about cool new technology. It's a fundamental shift in how people actually experience giving. The SportIn for Good pitch ends with a direct challenge to NGO leaders and sponsors. Launch a 4 to 6 week pilot league and just see the transformation firsthand. It's an incredibly compelling case for turning everyday steps into funded impact. But reviewing this explainer leaves us with a much bigger question to ponder. As our digital and physical lives continue to merge, will gamified, team-based action become the new baseline for how we solve the world's most pressing problems?